got the picks, the show's a kick, your guests are all a trip. So don't delay, grab your chair and stay, because it's time for Chris's Picks.
Welcome back to Chris's Picks. Folks, this is the final episode of Season 4. I've been putting this one off for a while. Frankly, I didn't feel like doing the episode over the Christmas break, and then school started again, which made things difficult. The season's been done for a while, but I figured, what a great time to do an episode with this snow coverage like we got. I mean, this is a historic snowfall that we had in New Orleans yesterday. We got about 10 inches from what I'm being told, which is more than the 8 or so inches that we got all the way back in 1895. I wasn't around in 1895. I'm just telling you what they told me. So, record snowfall for New Orleans. And I thought to myself, this is a great time to film the episode in this backdrop. So that's what we're doing. My record for the season was 42-23. I had a 3-1 final week, so I went 42-23, well above 500. Unfortunately for our guest pickers, our intrepid guest pickers, they finished the season with a record of 38-27. Congrats to Colin Gillen. He was the winner. He went 3-1 on our last episode, probably almost a month ago now. Dylan went 2-2. Matthew Dupre also went 2-2, I believe. So Colin Gillen takes the cake at 3-1, but it was not enough to beat me. It never is, folks. It never is. I own this show. This is Chris's Picks. It's not the guest pick. It's Chris's Picks.
Hey, yo, lesson here, babe. You come at the king, you best not miss.
So, obviously, I've never been defeated. I've never been defeated by the guest picker, and I probably never will. But this isn't just about me. We're covering a fantasy football league, for goodness sake. So let's talk about what happened. Congrats to Jack LaForge and Hunter Biden's Laptops for repeating as champion after defeating Drew 142.78 to 69.2. Nice. So this is now the second repeat champion we've had. So we've played this league for 4 seasons, and we've only had 2 champions. Daniel won it the first 2 years. He repeated in the first 2 years. And now Jack has repeated again. So, I guess it's fitting. We call this a dynasty league. The only champions we've had, it looks like, so far are dynastic teams. We'll see if Jack can three-peat. It's never been done before. But that's putting the cart a little bit before the horse. Let's talk about this historic season, because Jack finished the regular season 10-4, which was the best record, second only to Williams' 11-3 record. We all know how Williams' season ended. But Jack had a good team through and through this year. Very different from last year when, a lot of people were thinking Jack probably wasn't going to make the playoffs, and then he ripped off this historic run. This year he was dominant from wire to wire. Jack scored, just to put this in context, Jack scored 1,768.48 points on offense, which is only second all-time in the league as far as the regular season goes. Scott's 2022 team scored 1,769.42 points. So Scott edged him a little bit there. He went 12-2 that season. Scott did in the 2022 season. Unfortunately for Scott, we all know how that ended. It did not end with a championship crown. But this is all just to put it in perspective how dominant Jack was. I mean, second most dominant all time in the regular season, frankly, with putting that many points up. Was it the greatest team of all time? Scott obviously scored more points but didn't come away with the trophy. Jack did come away with the trophy. Is this the greatest team of all time? I can't judge that. I'm a YouTube show host, not a historian. I can't tell you whether or not this team was generationally great. I think we're going to have to watch it play out, and maybe history will tell us, as we look back, how great this team actually was. Let's talk about the runner-up. I don't want to dedicate too much time to the runner-up, but I feel like it has to be said before he decides to rewrite history with whatever it is, whatever his agenda is. So there were 84 games played in the regular season, a total of 84 games, and Drew's championship score of 69.20 would have ranked as the 14th lowest game ever played in the 2024 regular season. That is within the 80th percentile of sucking, folks. I mean, that final score puts him in an upper echelon, the upper crust of just being plain bad. Drew's score in the championship game was the third worst loss in playoff history. Okay, we've got plenty more Drew slander. We had stats and info look all of this up. So Drew scored 1,317 points this season. That's good for the 10th most. We have 12 teams, and Drew scored the 10th most points. That is also within the 80th percentile of sucking. Teams scored 1,231 points against him. That's the lowest in the league. He had the easiest schedule, the easiest path to the playoffs, bar none. That's a full 189 points less than the next closest, and it's 13.5 points per game. This is the equivalent of facing an 88-point performance each week. Now, many of you are probably watching and thinking, well, I could win a lot of my games if, on average, teams scored 88 points against me. Yes, you would have. And in fact, Drew, if he would have played Blake's schedule, I guess you could tell who our stats and info guy is because we're comparing him to Blake. Drew would have been 3-11 had he played Blake's schedule. That's not playoff caliber, folks. That's really not playoff caliber. But Drew will say that he made the championship, so all of his moves are validated. They were validated in the vacuum that is 2024 for him, I suppose. If Blake would have played against Drew's schedule, Blake would have been 8-6 and in the playoffs. For as much as we made fun of the Chubby Dubbies this year, Scott would have been 7-7 against Drew's schedule, as bad as Scott's team was. So, again, despite all this, Drew finished second in the league, so if he wants to hang the runner-up banner and tell everyone, how brilliant he is with his trades and all the things that he did, so be it. I just thought it was important context. And again, this is nothing to take away from Jack's performance. I do want the focus to be on Jack. Historic season for him. And I think that, given how his team is built, he really built his team from the inside out, really. The inside out. And I think he's going to be a pretty formidable opponent next year. I think this is a little bit different from the Daniels situation because Daniels' team was not lightning in a bottle. Obviously, he won twice in a row, but Daniels' team was markedly older than Jack's team is right now. I mean, Jack's got a bright future. He's got a couple of solid young guys, and so I think that next year he should probably head into the season being the favorite again. Let's talk about next year. The future of Chris's picks. I'll just give my honest remarks on how I thought this season went. I thought we, once again, started off strong. I thought we had a good start to the season. But unfortunately, once again, I had difficulty being as consistent as I wanted to with these episodes. And, it is harder. I'm not going to place all the blame on me. We all have these schedules now. We got, work. Some of you have children. So it's not as easy to take the time out of, our busy lives to film these videos. And I get that. Absolutely. It's really no one's fault. It's just a consequence of getting older. Unfortunately, it's not going to get easier. My last year of law school is next year, and then I will be working again. It's not going to get easier. So it's going to take a real effort to keep these videos going. And unfortunately, I had some guest pickers that I wanted to get on the show, but I never got to. I lost a lot of time in November, again, not so much for studying, but I had a night class that was it was pretty demanding at the end. And, in those last few weeks of November, that's crunch time for this league, we're heading into the playoffs. I couldn't devote as much time to this show as I thought was necessary for it. So, again, that's really no fault of anybody's, maybe my fault for time management, but I apologize to those guests. We didn't get everyone in the league on, which is tragic to me. I mean, bare minimum, I want everyone who's in the league, all 12 of us, to have an episode on the show, but I wasn't able to do that. So I will make it up to those league members next year. Harry and Daniel, I think those were the two that I didn't get on. And if I'm forgetting anybody, my apologies. I'm just talking. I've got nothing written down here. I'm just talking off the top of my head right now. Caroline, Caroline's got a whole date of a show dedicated to her, and unfortunately we couldn't get her in. Mary's arrival kind of threw a little bit of a wrench there at the end, but it's not Mary's fault. Not Mary's fault. These things happen. So Caroline, Bridget, Margaret, we were supposed to have an episode with the three of them. That would have been a good episode too. Brands and my dad. Michael Brands has been on every season. We couldn't get him on this season, so that was unfortunate. So we're going to try to course correct next year and make sure that we're fulfilling the promises to some of the guests that should be on the show. Quite frankly, they should be on the show because of all the interest that they have in the league, and in some cases all the work that they do to make the league run. So, it's funny because somebody told me, this was back in December, somebody told me, I haven't been watching Chris's picks this year, but they tell me the ratings are down. So I guess the ratings were down. I don't really know what that's a product of. Unfortunately, the show has become very formulaic, but it is better for Drew and I to stick to a defined recipe for how the show should function, because we just don't have the time to sit down and creatively think of new ideas for the show. So there's a set format that we have and we stick to it. It's easier for us because it's plug and play, but I understand how that might get old for some viewers. I've tried to make the show as funny as possible. This is a playful little project that we're putting together, but in the end, it really isn't about ratings, because this league started as just, Google Drive videos that I emailed to the league members. And then we thought that YouTube would be a better way to distribute the videos. And then if anyone wanted to watch it who was outside of the league, they would have access to it. But it is just tough, generally speaking, for people outside of the league to care about a fantasy football league that they're not in. So that's why we try to make, a lot of jokes. We try to put a lot of jokes into this. But ratings were down. We don't really care. We're going to trudge on without rate. So long as the league wants to keep watching these videos, we will keep making the videos. Another note that I have here, everyone thinks they're the most bullied team on the show. It is actually hilarious. To me, that's a sign of me doing something right. There were so many people this year who texted me or came up to me and said, "You really let my team have it." And that really is the point. We're not here to be nice. It's not supposed to be a nice show. It's supposed to be funny. And really and truly, I find it very difficult to be funny without being just a little bit mean. I mean, no one's going to laugh at somebody being nice. So we have to be a little mean, but I think it is funny that so many people were like, "I've got to just be the most dogged team on the show." That is the point. That is the point. So I think I'm doing something right with that, just to give myself a little credit there. I'm thinking out loud here. So I know William's watching this on twice speed here, is trying to say, "All right, get on with it." But while it's not a given, like the snow in New Orleans, I think that the snow in New Orleans sent us all a little message that says, why do we do the things that we do in life? Work, jobs, schools, families. We do these things to enjoy life. Work is more of just a means to an end. School is a means to an end. You really want to spend time with family. You would like to slow down, like we all did yesterday when New Orleans shut down and we all just got to enjoy the snow a little bit. Almost another message in the snow, in that life is too short, so you should attempt to sit down, relax, and enjoy things. And I think that one of the good things about Chris's picks is that it really forces me to take the time out. Force is the wrong word, but that's the word we're going to use. It compels me to take the time out of my schedule and make sure that I'm making time to sit down for just 30 minutes sometimes with the people that I care about and that I enjoy being with. And so I think that bare minimum, that's what Chris's picks forces me to do. And so for that, the show is very valuable. And I think that, I'm not a betting man, anything could happen, but I would say that a fifth season of Chris's picks is very likely. So with that being said, congratulations again to Jack. Congratulations to all the teams for competing this year. And thank you for watching. another year down. So we will hopefully see you next year for season 5.
Cause it's time for Chris's picks. 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 He's got the picks.